Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 18th of December. So, as ever, let's go and have a look at the risk events that could impact the markets today. First things first, we may as well go on to, we've just seen inflation data out this morning at 7 o'clock there. Bit mixed actually, it's showing the headline figure at 2.6, but if you go into the detail, if I can go back into the detail, there we go. You'll see there's figures that are slightly missing expectation on that basis. Some analysts are cutting the interest rate levels for next year. I won't get too ahead of ourselves here at the moment, but there are some figures, particularly input producers price index figures, that are quite a bit lower than expected. But the headline figures, as I said, are pretty much in line. Other data today we've got to be aware of then is really there's a bit of US data earlier on, but the main one being the Fed funds rate, which is due out at 7 o'clock. Expectation 0.25% cut. So that's at 7 p.m. We'll see that. We'll see the statement and the press conference. I'm expecting, we're expecting, many are expecting a relatively modest, slightly on the more hawkish side of comments coming through from that. So if there's any softening of their current stand, we might see the dollar sold a bit, but for now it looks like it's going to be pretty firm. So moving on then to these markets, looking at the euro dollar, just seeing the euro and the pound selling a little bit. The pound selling obviously, but the euro just coming off a little bit here. This is a 4-hourly chart. I was looking at this, well, you could see it more on an hourly basis. There was a bit of an inverted head and shoulders there. It did eventually break it through midnight there yesterday, but never managed to even get back to that territory. Now it's quite choppy at the moment, and I can't do much with markets like this, so I'll just leave it alone for now. There might be opportunities later, or I'd almost rather wait until tomorrow. On the euro, the pound dollar, well, we're seeing a bit of a selling going off on at the moment, which based on that news. Looking at it from a 4-hourly point of view, it's a lot cleaner, but it has, I mean, it'll probably leave a bearish engulfing candle here. A break of the lows there could see us following through further. It's been in this little range over the last couple of days, high lows, higher highs, looking a bit more positive. Let's just see how much the markets, the impact hit the markets later, but I think a lot of analysts working it out properly might work out that the fact there's a lot of inflationary pressure still to come on. Anyway, for now, we're seeing this bearish engulfing. As I said, maybe a break of the close of the lows of that bar could see us rolling over further. US dollar yen, had been waiting for the weekly retrace down to the weekly pivot. Just hasn't really happened at the moment. Very slow yesterday. For much of the time it was sort of consolidated little phases. Had a trickle down there later in the afternoon. As we went through the afternoon, it's strengthened a little bit. A break of the lows here could be much of these Tuesday's lows there. Could be interesting, but at the moment it's pushing back up again. Really inconsistent, really. The Aussie dollar continues in its southbound journey. It's on some of these, it's just a matter of getting in. It really broke down. It started its breakdown actually again yesterday afternoon, having recovered somewhat, but it has just broken back down. Well, there's a good chance it will get down to its S2 where it is at the moment, but there's hardly any pips, any percentage potential, and that risk reward doesn't shape up at the moment. It looks like it'll probably go before I finish speaking at this rate. So nothing to be done immediately there. Need a retrace to sell into. US dollar CAD, well, we're just seeing this continue. It doesn't matter what time frame we put this on, it's just pushing on, heading for its previous highs. Some of these things, they've gone and they're just going and going. I mean, yesterday it was in the morning there, it was pushing along and just consolidated for ages. Again, sort of mid to late afternoon, it pushed up there, but dollar strength, New Zealand dollar, bit disappointed, missed this one. This did set up yesterday, and I just had this thing in my mind that it was the FOMC meeting yesterday, and I was going off out, and it did actually trigger it in the afternoon. Where is it? It was back here, over here. Sorry, there we go. It did trigger later in the afternoon there at 4 o'clock-ish time. But however, well, it's well in play at the moment. So if you manage to get on that, that was on my short list yesterday. If you manage to get on that with a stop at the top there, it's tickling along in your favour at the moment. I don't know what happened there with my brain. Happens sometimes. You just think, hang on, you've got news out this evening. I'm getting my evenings mixed up. Anyway, today, well, again, it's a bit like the Aussie at the moment. We could just see further downside to the S2, but I think we could even see something beyond that. It's certainly on a slippery slope at the moment. US dollar Swissy. The only thing I guess with a lot of these markets is getting into anything before the news comes out later. Could be, as I say, highly risky. The 4 hourly Swissy looks like it wants to go back up again. We made a bit of a recovery yesterday, but the dollar's pushing strong here at the moment. We'll see how it reacts to the underside of the pivot. It could come off possibly, but not looking the best. Euro yen, lower highs coming through here. Excuse me. Short term, bigger picture, well, it just really continued that sort of move. It now looks like it actually touched the 50, hadn't at the time, but the 50 is just moving down here. We're still technically in an upward trend, so I'd tread carefully on this. On the 4 hourlies, still pushing up there. However, if we start again, it's one of these markets where we start seeing the breakdown of these prior lows, particularly that of yesterday evening, we could see a continuation to the downside there. Okay, there's not a lot of cheer there at the moment. I'm just going to go through the usual other markets here quickly. The gold price, just looking at gold here, continued falling a little bit, but it's I was looking at this previously. It broke down yesterday, just continued, had a little bounce, but I think we've still got some potential more downside on this. It's just the shape of what we're seeing has scope for further downside at this stage. Okay, the S&Ps, oh sorry, I didn't look at oil. Oil's up a fraction this morning, but it's sitting in has been sitting in quite an ugly, sorry, let's go back to oil. It's flicked back. That's it. It's been sitting in a horrible sort of pattern. I've sort of had all sorts of things over this, trying to dissect it, work out what's going to happen, but the overall picture on oil at the moment is quite sideways bound. It looks like it's got a bit more potential perhaps today or this morning. At the moment, looking like it's got potential for its R1, but it's in such a choppy old state. And I prefer to trade this in the afternoon, so I will leave that as it is for now. Maybe look back at it later. The S&Ps continue to consolidate. We're seeing almost like red green at the moment. The consolidation's continuing. At some point, I'm sure we're going to get some sort of move out of this, possibly waiting for the Christmas rally now, the Santa Claus rally. We'll see. But the Dow yesterday was heading for its ninth, and it's done its ninth down day. Continued its path to the downside there. Never picked up and even hit the pivot there yesterday. Today we're currently above the pivot. Perhaps today's the day that it'll close up slightly, but again this afternoon, if that starts rolling back southbound again, the S1 in particularly in the short term would be a half decent target for it. The S&Ps. I've looked at the S&Ps, right? Okay, the FTSE still quite messy and ugly on this. It doesn't look so bad on the intermediate stroke shorter time frames here, but again this looks well, we saw a little bit of a rally there into 7 o'clock, but this looks like it could roll over and continue heading back towards that quarterly pivot again. So it seems to have a bit of a liking for that at the moment, but eventually it might break off of that. The DAX. So DAX rolling over slowly, a little bit of positivity this morning maybe. I wouldn't be betting against this quite yet. It's on the shorter time frames. Well, let's see what the reaction is on the shorter time frames. Already hit the daily S1, bouncing though, heading towards that pivot. If it contacts that and starts reversing, it could be a nice point for a continuation. It came short of it yesterday. See if it gets there today and reverses, but it's on a bit of a charge at the moment as we just run into the new hour. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'm afraid there's not a lot that I'm keen on at the moment. I need some retracements, and of course we've got the FOMC later, so I am quite wary. Have a good day. Bye for now.